When I entered high school, the number one subject that I liked the most was physics. But I'm sure you would hate to be my tutor. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Teaching me the concept of velocity was almost like bringing a knife to a war. It was impossible to get me to understand that concept. Luckily though, if you had me as a student, you would see that I showed resilience. And after hours and hours of trying, I finally passed one of the hardest courses in high school. But when I received the topic of a sky, I immediately thought about this story because of how a sky can sometimes look gray. It sometimes just looks like you never can see the brightness of it. But eventually, the storm eventually ends, and the gray clouds fade away. And we're delighted to see the beautiful blue sky with a shining sun. And so today, let's look at three individuals whose skies were all gray as ever, but were able to find their way to the brightness of the sky through persevering and staying their course. First, we can look at this through Andoni Schultz. Now, as a high schooler, I can probably name everyone's number one obstacle: the college application. I mean, seriously, aren't we all just tired of worrying about the classes we have for our major and overthinking about where we're gonna end up for college? Well, I'm sure we all are. But one person who endured this stress to a whole nother level was Andoni Schultz, who not only endured the hours and hours of stress and struggle it took for him to go to the prestigious school he wanted to go to, but also was diagnosed with brain cancer at the age of 3, making it immensely harder for him to grasp the concepts that were necessary. But he stayed the course and never gave up. Even though the clouds were gray, he knew eventually the storm was going to end. And after hours and hours of doing extra work and putting in the time necessary for his mind to comprehend the material, he finally saw the brightness of the sky, which in this instance was him attending Notre Dame University, which was a top 20 school in the country, after being diagnosed with not only brain cancer, but enduring the stress as a high schooler. Now, as high schoolers, not only do we have to deal with our college application, but we also probably have to endure some physical struggles as well. I mean, seriously, we're all told by the government and everyone to sleep 8 hours a day, but chances are we probably get around 4 hours of sleep. But one person who endured struggled physically even harder than most high schoolers do is Jimmy Butler, because his mother kicked him out of the house at the age of 13, saying, "I don't like the look of you, you have to go," which is appalling for a mother to say, which put Jimmy Butler through a harrowing childhood along with the lack of financial status as well. But Jimmy Butler, though seeing his sky as gray clouds, he kept persevering knowing that greatness was going to come. And he ended up pursuing the career of basketball, even if it meant playing at local parks and sleeping in other people's houses to make sure he stayed the course to become a basketball player and made sure that he was healthy with the shelter he needed. But finally, after years and years of struggling without money, Jimmy Butler finally saw the blue sky, which was becoming a National Basketball Association player, making max contracts and finally providing him the well-being that as a child he's always wanted. Now, lastly, we can look towards a woman named Bethany Hamilton. Now, as high schoolers, chances are we've probably endured a lot of mental struggles. Some of that being the stress like previously mentioned, or some of that being traumatic events. A traumatic event that happened to Bethany Hamilton was at the age of 14, when she was surfing in the ocean and a great white shark bit her entire arm off, leaving it hard for her to believe that her career of professional surfing was still alive. But she kept going, knowing that there was a way to beat the storm. She kept working hard, even if it meant learning how to balance on the surfboard with one arm. And eventually, the clouds went away, and she became a professional surfer, placing first in the entire country for a whole year. So today, when we look back at the topic of sky, we can clearly understand through the examples of Andoni Schultz, Jimmy Butler, and Bethany Hamilton that our skies can seem gray, but through perseverance, the storm eventually ends. And so just like how I did in physics, understand that just like how I did, persevering will eventually get you through. Always keep going, because the storm will eventually end. And when the sky is clear, make sure that you're ready. Thank you.